He's given us a thumbs up. Or at least that was for my apology, sorry. Okay. All right. You guys see Samuel's little picture on the the social group is like Mr. Bean watching the. Oh, that's funny. All right. Okay. All right. Excellent. Hey, so again, welcome, guys. A big apology for being late. Sorry, Adam and Justin. I apologize. Should have been here sooner. So let's get started. So why are we here tonight? We are here because we have an incredible opportunity waiting for us just on the other side. And I think this to me is an incredible journey over the many years. As I mentioned on Sunday, this has been something that's been in the works for more than, I would say, 6-7 years now. When Pastor Quentin and Susan were leading the church in 2018, there was an opportunity to buy this church. So the Salvation Army came to us and said, hey, they would like to sell it. We shopped around, tried to get financing, and nothing happened. Nothing came through. We weren't able to get the financing for that. Then, COVID came, everything kind of went flat. And then at the end of 2023, we got a message from the Salvation Army again that they're going to sell the building. We thought, now's our time. I think the Lord is providing, making a way. And then we spoke to, I made a number of phone calls to the CEO of the Salvation Army up in Stockholm, Elizabeth Beckman, and asked her whether she would consider allowing us to rent the building, but eventually buy it from them in that way. And she said, through many conversations with the board, they declined that offer. And we thought, okay, all right, well, this must not be it. Then Thomas Beck, who owns the building now, bought the building. And then at the end of last year, Yvonne and myself were sitting in just a regular meeting with him, talking about the building and what we have as a church, a vision for this church. And we're speaking about building, speaking about a ministry center, as I've said many times. And I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later, Thomas came back to me with an email saying, Matthew, I want to maybe try and help you make that ministry center a reality. So, okay, all right, interesting. So what does that mean? Then he said, well, I'm actually considering selling the building to you guys. So I'm like, oh, okay. Now, as I said on Sunday, maybe what one has in your mind around what a ministry center is and what you see before you, the two might not go hand in hand together today. But I definitely believe that in the future, we will see a ministry center from C3 come, whether it's in this building, if we extend it, or in a couple of years' time, we find another location that accommodates a larger gathering, and there is other opportunities for us to then have what I described as complementary areas that make up this ministry center. And so I think, that is something that I think maybe as a step in the future for sure. But definitely that vision of a ministry center is still very much on my heart and Christelle's. And I believe that will be a reality in the future. But this opportunity that's come up right now, I just feel like God opened up a door in front of us. And so we decided, okay, let's take a step and let's pursue this opportunity that was before us. And So again, we spoke to him. We said, make us an offer. So beginning of December, he made us an offer. It was on the high side because you know how it works in negotiations. He who makes the first move, you need to go high as much as you can because then you put yourself in a disadvantage. Anyway, all of that being said, we've been back and forward over the last few weeks, and we've come and landed to where we are today, where he's accepted our offer of 7.5 million. So it is probably in my mind where I thought we were going. Aaron, thank you for joining tonight. He has been walking this journey with us for the last few weeks, doing the calculations. We'll show you a slide now in a moment. But it has been a journey where we've just worked and tirelessly, and Aaron's worked tirelessly to try and get to a figure which we think would be affordable. And that's also what we wanted to talk about tonight a bit as well too. the Bible's very clear that you need to count the cost before going into any kind of building or purchase or whatever it might be. And I really feel that we've made a lot of effort to make that, to take that step and be accountable to you as the church, to you guys online, to you in sitting over here this evening, that we have taken the necessary steps for that. All right, so all of that being said, I wanted to just show a little bit of what the agenda is. So we have, we're going to show a little bit of the current finances. This should be nothing new to you guys. So Anna presented this at our all-church gathering a couple of weeks ago. But again, just to recap again our vision and our mission statement. So we are a church here in the city of Malmö that has a clear vision. We want to see in Malmö as it is in heaven. All right, so we want to make sure that the city of Malmö can experience Christ. And how does that happen? That happens through us as mature missional disciples. Our mission statement, of course, is to exist. We exist to bring heaven to earth by seeking God's presence on a daily basis, intentionally following Jesus, and participating in His redemptive mission. And with that mission in mind, guys, we need to be able to have a place to have a mission base from, right? And this is our missions base. This is a location, a place of worship, God's temple. And want to make sure that this is, as Justin has mentioned in some of the communication, it's not just for this generation, but it's for generations to come. And that is a legacy, a role and a legacy that all of us here in this room and online and our church can leave. And what an incredible legacy I believe we will be leaving, and that to me is so important. All right, so let's just do a quick recap of the church finances. So we'll just go to that slide. So you can see in 2023 and 2024 were quite similar years of 1.6 million. We saw that last year was quite an exceptional year in terms of growth, 30% growth. I spoke to Pastor Terry from C3 Luzon, and perspective, we are trending in the right direction. And I believe that with this current trend now, I don't expect us to grow 30% every year. Maybe my faith is too small. But again, it tells me that we're moving in the right direction. And even if you go a few years back as well too, I can recall, because I was in charge of the finances from 2021, I think, that we have been growing quite a bit each year. So yeah, so even if they look further, we're doing pretty well. All right, so counting the cost, going to the kind of the next agenda point. So affordability is really, really important. All right. Now, the intention of showing these slides to you now with all these Excel calculations is not for you to understand it. I'm not going to explain it. If you want to have access to the calculation, I'm more than willing to send it to you and explain it to you. Aaron's also here as well too. He's been the author of this. And I've been through it a few times as well, just to check that he hasn't made any mistakes. Which along the way we picked up a few bugs here and there, but I believe now the current version that we have is sound. But just to show that we have been through a number of these iterations, a number of different scenarios, checking whether if the tenants, if we get a loss, if one of the tenants leave, or if we have to increase our finances, if there is interest paid, if we have to pay, all the costs per month, so all of these factors have been factored in to the calculation, and so we really believe that we've done a lot of work to make sure that we're confident that we can stand here today to tell you, I believe we can afford this. And that's why when we were talking, Aaron and myself, what is the highest we can go? And that's why we made 7.5 as the final offer. We weren't going to go higher than that. Even if Thomas said, no, you can't get the building, then I'm sorry, we're not going to jeopardize the finances and put pressure on the church unnecessarily, because 7.5 was the limit. That was it. We cannot go more than that. Then it would be, I think, become too risky and too unhealthy. So I just want you guys to know that as well too. So we also had a limit in that. That was it. So all right. So again, once more, if you want to have access to this, you want to look through it, more than welcome to get access, and we can share it with you and talk you through the numbers. Absolutely no problem. Any questions so far? Any online as well too? Please post your questions online. Just raise your hand at any point in time when I'm talking if you want to have clarity or if you've got a question or anything. So maybe is there anyone with a question at this point? All right. Good. All right, so let's go to the third section, which encompasses kind of the larger part of what we're going to be talking about tonight. So what we want to talk about is the ownership model. All right, so we're going to go through how we're going to, or the areas in which we need to raise finances in, or areas where we think the finances can come from, but can also confirm them. We also then share a little bit on how you can partner up with us, some of the financial contributors, how is the giving, or at least the firm pledges so far, kind of what are the next steps, what are the key dates and stages that lay ahead, and then also we want to give an invitation at the end of how you can participate as well too, in the same way we do with Vision Builders every year, to make sure that there's a practical next step as well too. All right, so let's take a look at raising the finances. So if we look at the first slide coming up over here. So as we saw, we purchased the build, or the offer that's been made is 7.5 million. We have what is called long-term loans and savings and gifts plus donations. So the 3 million that you see over there is one of the loan options from the bank. All right, so we've got verbal confirmation from this bank called JAK Medlemsbank in Her. Now you may not have heard about it before. They are a bit of a smaller bank. They do support organizations like churches, like community-driven projects and so forth, where, say, the typical commercial banks like SAB, all the banks that are around, they typically wouldn't sponsor them because of certain risk factors that they may pose. All right, so we have also then Yvonne has also been doing most of the kind of the speaking to these banks, or she's done all the speaking to the banks so far, just to get kind of a verbal soundboard and to see whether what would be possible. SAB, which is our bank, which we've faithfully been with for all the years that we've been around, they said, look, they could probably meet us at 50% loan of the building, all right, whatever we purchase the building for. So that puts us into a position where, wow, okay, well, only 50%. And JAK Bank said they can, just verbally committed, said they think they could give us or loan us 3 million. So again, that was just a verbal confirmation, and we definitely want to take it to the next step. And I'll get to that in a moment around the next steps and where we want to see what the dates look like going forward. So one of the immediate next steps is to try and get what is called in Swedish a lånelöfte, or a loan promise, in writing to say, yes, we will loan you this amount, because, and I'll tell you why we want that as well too a little bit later. Then we have, so just continuing around the long-term loans and savings. So Anna will confirm this at the moment. We have about 880,000 crowns in the bank account, church bank account today. Of that, we have about 420,000 of that is savings, and then we have, we have about 240,000 in Vision Builders. Now, part of Vision Builder money has been apportioned or has been earmarked for our next steps, right? And part of that was either paying for the renovations of a building that we may move into that we rent, or a deposit for a building that we purchase. And also the savings are there as we make sure that as we operate this church that we have some kind of money to fall back onto if there is something significant that happens. Now, out of that total amount of money, I've spoken to the board. I think we can get we can probably, and I know you need to confirm this eventually as well too, but I think probably about 500,000 out of that 880 that's there, we can probably use towards the 7.5 that needs to be paid for the building. Now, that's negotiable. We still need to see, because we still want to make sure that there is reserve money, or we have a safety net amount, and we haven't fully landed on how much that is yet in the board. So that 500,000, maybe only 400,000. So that is still to be discussed. But I think, at least personally, I think we could do 500. I do lean a little bit onto the side of a little bit more optimistic. But yeah, and I'm not the one who decides. The board is the deciding body for that. I believe that we can also raise an extra 500,000 as a church towards gifts and donations. And I'm going to get to that already, because in a moment, because of that 500, that second second component of the 1 million, there's already been 3 people that have made, or 3 families that have already committed quite a significant part of that, and I will show that now in a moment as well too. Then we need and then we have Thomas as well, the owner of the building. He said that he is willing to loan us 800,000 crowns as well too, at quite a hefty interest rate of 7%, and he wants it paid off over 5 years. All right. I would prefer not to have Thomas involved going forward. He's been very kind. I must say, to be honest, it's not often that you find, well, you can say kind and kind. Look, 7% is not that kind. but still, he has still offered some money, which some others that I've been speaking to over the last few weeks haven't. But he still says he has. But still, yeah, I would prefer to have him out of the picture. I want to kind of have a clean cut, right? When you buy something, you don't want the other owner that you bought from still to be like owning the toilets or something like that, So we kind of want to make sure, there's a clean cut. So that's my preferable position, and I think everyone can agree to that as well too. Yes, so that's where the other component of the 7.5, and then the last component, which is then what remains, is 2.7 million. And we believe that will need to then come from external parties like Christian organizations, other churches that you may be, maybe a home church from where you come from, or another church that could typically be a partner. It could be Christian businesses or businessmen that that would typically partner up with us. So again, that makes the total amount of 7.5. So it's 0.8 from Tom Thomas, 3 million from the bank, 1 million from C3 Church Malmö, and then 2.7 from external investors. All right, so that's kind of how we believe the amount is going to be made up. Again, these amounts may change based on the giving and the commitments from different entities within this constellation that I've just shared. Any questions so far on that? Is that somewhat clear? Yeah. All right. Okay, so how can you partner up with us? All right, so that's really about what is tonight all about. Okay. So the first way of doing that is simply giving a financial gift towards the church, a donation towards the church, as we do towards Vision Builders every year. All right, so that is the one way to do it. And again, I'm going to show you a little bit of the second component of the 5. So again, C3 Church Malmö, 1 million. 500,000 from what's in the banks in the account today. The other 500,000 we still need to raise. There is a significant portion of that's already been pledged by 3 families. And I'll show that to you in a moment. If we can increase that component from C3, we wouldn't be as dependent on Thomas. And we wouldn't be as dependent on external investors. We wouldn't be as dependent on banks. I think that goes without saying. But it has to be said. And I'm going to also get to the reason why that is the case. And you'll see that now in the second component over here, which another way that you can partner up with us is also a loan. All right. So of the 2.7 million, we believe that we happy as a church to be able to take a loan from individuals, from businesses, from other churches, from other organizations, right? So that is the way that we see it. We believe that the payback period can be Aaron's calculations were 7 years. I think I want to try and create a bit of a range, 7 to 8 years, depending on, there's always factors that you don't have control over. If we maybe do lose a tenant, it might be 6 months before we find one, and that might put things, in a position where instead of 7, it becomes 8. So, we always want to make sure we lean onto the side of being a little bit more conservative. When we do, for this 2.7 million where we would like to take loans, we believe that we could give up to a interest rate of 3%. We could give, it would be, if someone wants to loan at a lower interest rate, we're happy to receive that. But also, if people really want to go to a great length of generosity, they can also loan the money interest-free. So that is also, we would be extremely grateful for that, and that would be one of the more generous offers, of course. But we know and understand that it may cost that organization to give us that, or it will cost them money to loan that money to us. And, so we want to try and make sure that we're at least respecting and honoring that. So if the loans of the 2.7 are given towards us, we can only start paying back the capital after year 4, or at the start of year 4. And the reason is that because of Thomas's component of 800,000 at 7%, his expectation is that we pay him back in 5 years. What Aaron and myself and what Aaron has calculated is that we pay him back in 3 years' time. That's possible, and from a cash flow perspective, we think that's achievable. Like I said, I want to try and get rid of, from any principle that you have when it comes to loans, you always pay off the highest bearing interest loan that you have. That's a principle that you always try and do. And so we want to try and pay him back as quick as possible. So through the many simulations that Aaron has done, we saw that we believe it's achievable to do in 3 years. So from a cash flow perspective, we want to. That's why we can only start paying the principal amount or the capital amount from loans that are loaned to us from year 4 onwards. But going to the last bullet point, we can start paying the interest. If interest is charged, we can already start paying back from year 1. Okay, so that if someone had to loan the money, they wouldn't be poorer at the end of the day. They would still get the interest would still be served and be paid on the loan. The only thing, again, there would be a delay in the capital or the money, the actual money that they paid. That would be delayed 3 years. If it takes us 3 years to pay Thomas back, and we would only start paying back in year 4. I know I'm repeating myself, but I just want to make sure it's absolutely clear that you understand that. Have what I explained, is that clear, or is it cloudy in your minds? Is it relatively clear? Okay, yeah. All right. Any questions on that, guys? On what I'm presenting here? Yes, sorry, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for instance, you bring that up. Yeah, the baseline for the large sum. So, for instance, if you as an individual or someone wants to loan, for us as a church to administrate, like if people say, hey, if 50 people say, hey, we can loan you 10,000, Anna and the team are going to be they're going to be spending hours every month paying back, all those loans and keeping administration, keeping tabs of it. I think it's just going to be an extreme burden for us to be able to, for these smaller loans. If it's 10,000 as an example, or 20 or whatever it might be, hey, rather give that as a gift. That would be my recommendation if people can. That would be, I think, our preferred option, and I think administratively it would be more sound to do it that way as well too. So that's why we kind of want to put a bit of a level. So if there is a loan coming from private individuals in church and other organizations, we say, hey guys, yeah, and if it is below that, maybe 50,000 as well, I'm willing to have a discussion about that, especially if we come to the end of when we need to pay the money and there's like, ooh, we need it. Okay, then someone say, hey, I can loan you 50,000. And if 5 people come to me and because we need, then, there's 250,000 still needed. Okay, we'll make an exception. But in the general terms, I think we want to kind of cap it at 80,000 as a loan. And Okay. Good. Let's, yes, there's a question online. Yeah, so I think I did. Yeah, so Francis just asked about the cap of 80,000, and so I just why is that? And then I just explained that. So, all right, good. Now I will make sure I repeat the question if there's a question from the crowd. So glad to ask the loan that we get from the bank. What will the interest be? So interest rates, as I know them today, are below 3% today. That may vary as well, and we've accounted for that as well too, Aaron, for fluctuating interest rates. But I believe it's at 3 or below at the moment. At least that's what my loans are at, and most of my loans now are fluctuating. So Gabriel asks, if we do loan money from the bank, should we do a fixed rate or should we do a variable? That's a good question, and I can't give you an answer right now, but because that will have to be something we discuss with. Yeah. So Aaron believes that we should do variable. But again, we absolutely need to have a kind of a discussion and do some further simulations around fixed versus variable and what makes sense. It's difficult to know what's going to happen, right, in the future. So yeah, but again, we have tried to we've included simulations around variability. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So financial contributors. So as one can see, we have, as mentioned, the banks. So JAK Medlamsbanken have given us a verbal confirmation. Yvonne has spoken to them. They said 3 million crowns that they are willing, and we believe possibly even more. It was just a very informal, and I think if we show them our numbers, we show kind of, Aaron's also helping us with a business plan, and I think if we show them our business plan, they may even be more confident to say, okay, we're willing to hopefully give you more. As mentioned as well, SA Bank has given us a verbal confirmation. They will give us up to 50% of the purchase price of the building. And so, guys, if you know of anyone in any banks that you think could be interesting, or we would be interesting to them, please come and speak to myself, to Yvonne, to Aaron, to Justin, so that we can have those discussions. Summer brought up one other person as well too in Sparbanken Seed as well too that I remember that I have had some dealings with from before that I'm going to speak to them about. Yes, there's another question from the audience. So I am, yeah, that's I get that question often. So I've spoken to Pastor Steve Warren, who's the European C3 director, and there is typically no model as it is today where there's a big honeypot filled with money that help C3 churches. That's not kind of the model of how C3 church works, or probably many churches. But I have spoken to Pastor Steve, and he has said that from their vision builders, they might be able to help us out with a bit of money. Now, that was just again a verbal phone call, a verbal confirmation over telephone. I am going to, and I'm going to be bold. This is kind of my commitment to you. I'm going to be approaching some C3 churches who the pastors there that I have a relationship with. Okay. And I'm going to be asking them, hey guys, do you have a fund that you could help loan as well to, and we'd be willing to commit to that as well. So I'm going to be going and doing it. So again, the answer is yes and no. From a C3 Global perspective, it doesn't exist as a fund being there available for churches to borrow from, but through relationships and verbal commitments so far, I think we could probably get some support from other C3 churches. There's another question online. Yes, Adam. Yes, that is a good question. So how much money can come in from the tenants on a monthly, yearly basis? All right, so what we've done, the calculation over here is that, so C3 rent, okay, so you must remember, I'm going to share exactly how we're going to do this as well too, is that, and I'll get to those slides in a moment. So there will be the church building will be designed in a way that it's in a separate building company. All right, there will be a Fastighet AB for the Swedish speakers. There's a building company, an AB, that will own the building, and for very good reason, and I'll explain that a little bit later why we do that. And the church, C3 Church, will be the owner of the building company. All right, so that is the structure and how it will work. So C3 Church is still a tenant, will be a tenant to the building owner, which will be itself. It sounds a little bit strange. But we still have to pay rent to the property company that owns the building, right? Which is the church, yes. So the thing is that we can't not pay rent, because then we'll default on our loans because it will be the building company that is the legal representative or the owner of the building itself. Okay, so that's how the structure will work. So I say all of that to say this, that C3 Church will then pay rent towards the property owner, or the property business, sorry, put it that way, is a better way of putting it. And that will be including WOW, We Are One Church, their rent that they pay, with an increase of 20%, because this is what Thomas was going to increase our rent with in the month of October, with 20% increase. So then we will come to 523,526. So just a little bit more than 500,000 Swedish crowns is the rent then from C3, which then includes WOW's portion as well too. We have just over 100,000 crowns that's coming from Israel's Venar, which is the office downstairs. And then we have almost 160,000 crowns coming in from the apartment on that side. And then the total amount that comes in through rental, so it's the church, Israel's Venar, and also the apartment is almost 790,000. So it's 787,000 each year. So hopefully that answers the question from the person online. Okay, good. Let me continue. Yes. So then, yeah, so like I said, we have, so then we go down to C3 Church Malmö. So again, this is still up for discussion, but I believe that we have 500,000 in savings that we could give towards this purchase, and then the other 500,000 will come through gifts and donations. As we stand today, there are 3 families that have pledged 360,000 already so far. And so if you go back to the previous slide, that is that first option around gift, once-off giving towards the C3 building. So just so that you understand where that fits in. Okay. Then as mentioned as well too, going back to Thomas Beck, who is the current building owner, he has said that's 800,000 at a private loan at 7%, and then external investors. We've received through one of the board members from Hillier Park Kyrkan, or Hillier Park has a Bible school, and they doing quite well financially. And this board member has also given us a verbal confirmation. He thinks he can speak to, he'll speak to the board, and he thinks at least 1 million can be loaned from that Bible school towards us. They have a few millions in the bank, which they believe, we could, that they could loan. C3 Church Global. So when you talk about global, the other churches of C3, I think I'm going on this is a real stretch for me. I think I could possibly see if we could get loans from the other churches in the C3 movement of maybe 700,000. That's what I believe would be a faith stretch for myself and also the others. And then another 1 million is basically needed from other Christian organizations, businesses, extended churches, other churches that you have belonged to in the past or that you know of and so forth. And so we need to be able to find another 1 million amongst the business community, church organizations, etc. So, and again, I put some question marks because those are kind of the big unknowns at this point and big steps of faith and where we need to believe for. And as I put in text below that box over there, as I mentioned in the beginning as well, the more we can raise from C3 Church family members and external investors, the less we need to borrow from Thomas, and then the quicker we can start repaying the capital part of the loans. So as I mentioned, we can only start paying the capital component of this 2.7 million of loans only from year 4 onwards, because we've got that big interest rate and that large loan from Thomas that we want to try and pay off the quickest, right? And so he's also okay for us to pay that loan off quicker. So I said, hey, do you want it over 5 years, or can we pay you off sooner? He's happy to have it paid off sooner, and so that's okay. And if we have to borrow less from him, I think he's okay with that as well too. He's just been kind enough to be willing to borrow that money to us. Any questions so far on this picture over here? Okay. All right, so let's go to the next slide. So I wanted to show this just to say that and give you some confidence that there are some commitments already that have been made towards this other 500,000, the second component, to the church. All right. So what Christel and myself said is that I want to whenever I lead, I want to show the way. All right. And when I lead, I want to try and lead as best I can. And so Christel and myself said, we looked at our finances, and we've said as a family, we are going to be giving 160,000 crowns to the church. That will be a gift for this journey, this pledge. We really feel that is what we can give and we want to give to the church. The Style family has come back and they've said they will be able to give 50,000, which again just shows, hey guys, of the 500,000, the pastors are coming up with what would that be? Would that be 60%? No, it'll be 200,000 of 40% of the total amount. The pastors of the church have said, hey, we're going to be giving 40% of that 500,000, and of course, we can go beyond the 500,000, but that's how much we are committed to this church, how much we want to you can obviously see our hearts in that giving. There was a person that approached me on Sunday. They would like to remain anonymous. That the person's not here today as well too, that so that you might be looking around who that might be. But this person is also he came to me and said, hey, I'm going to be giving 150,000 towards this initiative, and also would be willing to loan as well too from their business as well. And so that more details on that I guess will come. So my question to you this evening, for those online and also for those sitting over here, are you potentially Mr. or Mrs. V? Are you potentially Mr. or Mrs. Q? Or are you potentially Mr. or Mrs. Z? I know that everyone has different financial positions. Everyone has different means, and in no way do we ever want to feel anyone need to be pressured in giving. We just want you guys to feel that you're taking a step of faith and that you are stretched in what you do. This giving that we're giving as a family, it is a stretch for us. By no means is it an easy give. It is a stretch for us. And all the other giving as well too, from Style family, Mr. X over here, it is a stretch for them. And they are giving because they feel compelled to give. They feel that they want to be a part of this legacy that we want to leave for the city of Malmö, for our children, and generations beyond us. And so I want you to be prayerful about this, to be talking to your spouse if they're not here tonight. For those online, if you are watching together as a spouse, spouses, great, have a conversation. But I want you to be prayerful about this, guys, because we don't want you to make take a decision that is irresponsible. That's very important. We don't want irresponsible decisions over here. Don't go and loan money from a loan shark, please, to take for this money. If I find that out, I will be very angry with you. All right, so no loan sharks, please. No irresponsible giving. I want us to give responsibly, please. All right. You do not, take a loan from your house. You do not take a loan from a loan shark. You do not take a loan from a greedy uncle who's going to want the money back tomorrow. Because we won't be able to pay it back very soon. Like I said, only 7 to 8 years is when you can see that money back, if you want it back. All right. So if there is, and so what I'm talking about actually, is gifts. But when we come to, if there is a loan component, if you want to make a loan to the church, then again we can only do that within a 7 to 8 year period. But what you see behind me specifically is the 1 million or more, which is the gift component, which we want to encourage you to be prayerful about. Okay. So again, guys, please, let's, yes, it is a step of faith. It is a stretch, but we want you to be responsible as well. All right? And if you're thinking about giving, I want to know where the money comes from, okay? No money laundering. Just all jokes aside, okay? No, but so when you give, please, again, I make a joke about it, but I'm serious as well too at the same time. Okay? We give responsibly. All right? So please don't. I don't want you not to have food at the end of the month. Okay, good. So again, be prayerful about this. So of the 500,000 on the second component, which we don't have today, there are commitments of 360 already. So to be able to reach the target, we need 140. But again, if we can get more in this area, we have to loan less from Thomas, which puts us in a better position when we loan on the 2.7. Right, so going to the next slide. So some next steps or what we're going to be doing. So again, from the previous slide, from a next step perspective is, again, you go back home, have a discussion with your spouse if you have one. If you don't, then it's with yourself or a close friend. I think, even if you're not married or you're single, I think always having a discussion with someone, a close person that you trust about what you're about to give would always be a wise thing to do as well. All right, just so that you don't do it with your own echo chamber of thoughts, because, again, sometimes the thoughts go in the wrong direction. So again, if you're single, please have a discussion with a friend or even myself or one of the pastors or anyone that you trust in church. Of course, if you're married, talk to your spouse about it. It is a communal decision. It's important that you guys both, as the couple, feel confident and comfortable giving whatever you decide to give. Okay? So again, on the next steps part, Aaron has been wonderful and kind to help put a business plan together, because we need that business plan to be able to approach the banks and show them we've got a solid plan in place. These are our finances, and especially SABF, if we've approached them, they can see that because we have records with them. They've got all our money. So those are some of the next steps to get the business plan in place, and then also to start approaching the banks. Yvonne is going to be speaking to JAK Bank. I'm going to be speaking to SAB Bank. Summer reminded me about another person in a bank whose brother used to be in our church. I'm going to approach her as well too, from Swedbank and Seed, I think it is. And if there are any other banks and any other contacts, please, let us know. That is a question. Yes, it's in English. Absolutely. So that's actually good. So Gladys is asking, can we get some information on how to be able to approach our other the churches that maybe from your home country or whatever it might be? And the answer is yes. I actually thought about it today. What we were doing is Adam, Ladea, and Justin are busy working on a short, I think, I'm not sure if it's 3 minutes or however long it's going to be, but there's going to be a short video that kind of is a bit of a promotional material that can be used to share with people in your world, maybe a bank, maybe a pastor, or whatever it is. So that would be one component. And a second component in complement to that will be a 1 or 2 pager describing our business model and summarizing it. Right now, I think it's 6 pages, but it will be a summarized version of what our plan is going forward, just to know that they know that there's a rock solid plan behind what we're doing, and we're not just these crazy guys being irresponsible in the way that we think about things. So there will be information to be given, and then my advice would be as well that when you speak to the person, whoever it might be, you may want to. You can also, if you don't feel comfortable about sharing all the details because you haven't been involved in the details, and if the information sheet is not enough, and they probably want to take the next step and have a conversation. At least myself and others would be available to talk to them as well too. So just that you're aware, I'm happy to have the conversation and share more and explain our thought process. Okay, then the external or internal investors for the 2.7, as mentioned, we got Helia Park, Shirkan, so myself / Yvonne are going to be talking to them. I just sent them an email, or this person who's on the board there, just an email yesterday. I'm going to be speaking to the Global, C3 Global, Pastor Steve, Terry, and Pastor Richard, and a few other pastors, as you say, guys. I think it's a great idea that you partner up with us, and these are the reasons why. But they know our hearts, and they know why I of course would be approaching them. Again, you as a C3 Church family members online, you guys over here as well too. Please be an advocate as well too. Go and approach organizations, churches, businessmen. Samar, Shadle's wife, has been chasing some guys who can possibly help us with grants as well too. So like anywhere where you think people would be willing to partner up with us, all right? But be prayerful about it as well too. I don't want to go into a financial business partnership with an organization or someone that doesn't resonate with our values and won't be able to subscribe to what we. So we need to be very wise in who we partner up with, guys. So please be prayerful about who you approach. Okay, that's very, very important. I don't want to have the church being chased by someone that thought they made a mistake and then they want their money back and then we can't pay it, and then it becomes a sour relationship with you and that person because you've been the middleman. So we want to be careful of that type of scenario. So that's something we need to be very wise about. Okay, so let's be prayerful about that. And then the last point as well too, again, is you as an individual, if you sit with maybe some stock market shares that you feel, hey, you want to sell all of that and make a loan to the church, that's something that I would encourage you to pray about. Also, it could be that you maybe have kind of savings that you're saving for something that you're not quite sure. I've met people that I'm saving all this money. I'm thinking about maybe buying a house. I'm thinking about maybe taking a holiday, and kind of like and it might be like, hey, okay, actually, this is an initiative I want to loan the money to the church or give the money to the church. So again, we're happy to just encourage you to think along those lines. Okay, I see we are got 4 minutes left. Woo. Yes, question online. Yes.
What is the timeline for these pledges?
Good that you asked, because we're coming to that as the next slide. There we go. Good. So by Friday, we need to have the business plan. So I sent my comments back to Aaron, so he's busy working on that. Yeah. Have we? That has not come up on the list. So no, but we can definitely make sure that Justin has taken note about that. So leave it oud. Who is? We can. It would be good to know who that is, because maybe they've got a contact as well too, so we can speak to them about that. We want to make sure that we start approaching the banks by next week, Monday, maybe even sooner if the business plan is ready sooner, to get this loan promise. One of the things, guys, is very important, and the reason why we want the loan promise and also some firmer commitments from some external investors is that Thomas says that he wants the deal signed. He actually wanted it done by the end of this month, and I said, hey, we need a bit of time. So I've been able to negotiate with him today to the 16th of May because he wants, and this is standard practice, to put 10% down on a property when you buy it. He said, okay, he wasn't sure if we had 10%, which is right. We have 5% at least. So when we give the 5% on the 16th of May and we sign the contract, that money, we will not see that money again. Even if we don't, so especially if we come to the end of July, which is then the planned date for transfer of the balance, the 95% of 7.5, even if we don't have the money and we can't meet those commitments, we do not get that money back. So 375,000. So there's a bit of skin in the game. There's a bit of risk going forward, and we want to try and mitigate or reduce the risk by at least getting these lona loftas from the bank, these loan commitments, and also some firmer, at least emails or written commitments from the investors around this, the 2.7. Because the 1 million from our church, I think I feel quite confident around that. The 800,000 from Thomas, he's already committed to that. So it's the other two components that we need to get some commitment on. So that's why I want to make sure that if we can't get a loan from the bank for whatever reason, and there are 0 investors, then, okay, well then, guys, then the deal is off. Then we need to go back to Thomas and say, and I want to make sure we can have that insight and that information before the 16th of May, because that's the deadline when we need to pay the 5%. I'm trusting that the Lord has opened so many doors for us so far for this building. I am trusting that the money will come. But, you know, also, I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of the risks as well, too, and the commitment. Now, so, yeah, okay. So that just wanted to say that. And then again, as I said, so the 31st of July is then when we need to finalize the deals. The balance of 7.5 needs to be paid over to Thomas. So that he initially had the end of June, and I said, do you mind? Can we move it a month? And he was okay with that. He's quite flexible. He understands our position and so forth. All right, so we are a minute before 7. If we go 5 minutes over, I hope that's okay with everyone over here online. Sorry. Apologies, my fault from the beginning. Oh, we started late. All right, so those are some of the key dates. We'll send this presentation to all of you, so you will have it, so you can read it through and go through it, so it's no problem. How you can participate is, again, go to, I guess, Justin, if we scan the typical QR code that we would on Sundays, there on the bio site, there will be a little function we can click on. Or if you just go to C3 Church Malmö/future, you can participate over there. There is a landing page with a pledge form. And what you can do is that you can either pledge a gift or you can pledge a loan. All right. Now, I know some people want to remain anonymous if they want to give. When you give a loan, you probably don't want to remain anonymous. It's like, yeah, I'm not sure if this guy's we can pay this one too. So when it's a loan, you got to kind of you kind of need to give your information. All right. So and of course we pay you back, and yeah, and then we can decide what, you know, how much percent with a ceiling, of course, 3%. But if it is a gift and you want to remain anonymous, please come and speak to me. I will keep your secret safe, as Mr. X, who's given will be giving 150,000. I will also. Justin doesn't know. Only Christelle knows, and she will be the only person that knows. Okay. And if you want to remain anonymous, come speak to me, and I will write a pledge and write Mr. or Mrs. Z, and then X amount, and then I will know, okay, to go and speak to you and saying, hey, all right, and come tell us as well when you believe you can pay the money as well too. So you will see in the pledge form, it says that as well. So it will be your name, how you want to give, is it a gift or loan, how much you want to give, and then also the date in which we can expect to see the money paid. Because again, we have a clear deadline by the end of July. All right? We don't have any negotiation around that date. So it's wonderful that people pledge. Like if I know that we do this for Vision Builders, many of you have pledged towards Vision Builders, giving X amount per month over a 12-month period. In this instance, it's a little bit different because we do need lump sum money. As you know, we need to get 7.5 together to be able to achieve the deadline of the end of July. Okay. Any questions online in the auditorium? Spontaneous thoughts? Anyone think want to share their thoughts? Okay, so Francis asks, post deal, once we bought the building, is there going to be an amount or an account that we can give money towards to the continuous upkeep and investment in the building? And I would say yes, absolutely. So as Vision Builders, we've always had 4 initiatives, and the last one has always been Next Steps, which has been very much building orientated. We will continue to do that, but then if people want to give to Vision Builders, which will then be, say, the 3 initiatives towards ministry, then they can just give, and then we decide how to then spend that. But then if they want to give specifically to the building post-purchase, they then just earmark it and saying towards the building, and then we know we can put that money aside for that area. One more question online? Yeah. Have we considered the idea of co-owning the building with Wow Church? That has come up for discussion in the board meeting and also the purchasing or investigation team of purchasing the building. I think that has come up for some of the reasons why I think that might complicate things is that either they are then seen as an investor and they continue to rent the church from us as is. If they become a co-owner, then it becomes a bit of a discussion who gets the morning slot when it comes to the services on a Sunday. Who gets the hall when there's certain events that are coming up where there's maybe a conflict. It becomes a really tricky situation for us to manage, especially relationally, if there is co-ownership and there's co-renting at the same time. So if there is co-ownership from them, I wouldn't want to use the word ownership. I would rather categorize them as an investor. The thought has crossed my mind, and it has been proposed in the board that I go and speak to Pastor Jose and find out from their church if they could possibly be an investor, an external one, this last category of where we want 2.7 million. So that I think would be a comfortable scenario, or a scenario that I would be comfortable with, and I think is a wise way going forward. As I described, it would be quite complicated if they had to be a co-owner of the building. Yes. All right. Any other questions? All right. I think let's stop over here, guys. I want to respect the time. We are now 5 minutes over. So we will send this slide deck out to everyone to look at it, to pray about it, to evaluate it. And again, let's be prayerful in our approach towards the next steps, your next steps. And let's be trusting that the Lord is in it. Guys, if God is for it, who can be against it? And I just have always leaned onto that I'm just, if God wants this for us, it's going to happen. So yes, have I lost a few hours of sleep at night in my bed on this topic? I have. I'm only a human being. I have rolled around wondering how this is all going to turn out. I've walked around with a knot in my stomach many days, anxious. Yes, your pastor gets anxious as well too. But, and again, I'm just like, okay, Matthew, stop that. Trust the Lord. If it's His will, this will happen. All right? So let's just take a moment just to pray before we conclude. Father, we thank you for this incredible opportunity that lays before us. Lord, you have the wealth of the world lies within your hands. And I pray, Father, that if it's your will for us to own this building, that you release those finances over this project. We trust and pray, Father, that you will turn the hearts of those, Father, who are thinking about this towards, Lord Jesus, their next step. And I pray that, Father, that we will see a supernatural abundance, Lord, from heaven just poured out over this money that we've never ever thought would ever come from that source. I pray, Lord, that we will walk away, Lord, giving you all the glory and all the honor goes to you. Lord, yes, people are a part of the process, but you make a way. You are the one who makes a way. And I pray, Lord Jesus, that you will speak to people, speak to organizations, speak to those that are leading organizations. I pray that we will see finances released over this project. I pray all of this in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. As I prayed, I just wanted to say one very important thing that's been on my heart for a long time, is that above all and above everything else, guys, it's been my heart's yearning to make sure that God gets the glory for this project. You know, it's, yes, people are a part of that process, a part of the step of providing and supplying. But I want God to receive the glory. And you might be upset with me for this prayer, but I prayed to God, and I've said, God, make this impossible. Make this purchase impossible. Why? Because when it does go through, we can show the world and the city of Malmö that God is a miracle-working God. And that's what I want to stand in faith for. All right? So let's be praying for that. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys, online. I appreciate your support, and we'll see you guys on Sunday. Potluck Sunday. Make sure you bring a meal. Sign up as well, too. It's been a good fun together. We're going to be in the courtyard. Bring a friend, bring a family member, and we'll see you on Sunday. All right. Thank you, guys. Hey, all.